Good to have you all here. So this week we are going to be talking about maintenance, and Morgan here is going to be walking us through it. We are going to be doing, Morgan, we're going to be talking about daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly, right?
Yes, pretty much. That's what we're gonna be doing. Daily, properly, actually proper shutdown, weekly,
hmm
and monthly. Depending on the environment of the place where the printer is located.
Here's why this is incredibly important. If it's not obvious, there are two things really that we can control when it comes to making sure we get incredible longevity out of our printers. Well, there's three things really. One, being prepared, having consumables on hand, which we're going to talk about in a couple of weeks. Two, properly maintaining your machine. And three, training on how to properly operate your machine. But maintenance, I would say, more you tell us, like it's probably up there when it comes to like some of the root causes of issues that happen with machines. That's why this is important. Okay, this is important. So please, if you don't feel like you have a true expert understanding of how to properly maintain your machine, how to turn that thing on, how to shut the thing down, what the procedures are for doing that, please, and take notes. It's going to save you a lot of money, and it's going to save everyone else a lot of headache in the long run. And that's what we want. We want to focus on printing. We don't want to focus on your machine being down. So
Yeah, thank you very much for everyone to be here joining us in this little chat room. So basically, what I'd like to bring up first before we jump into the cleaning part of maintenance is your environment. Pretty much what you want to do what you need to watch out on your environment is, of course, the temperature and the humidity. Temperature wise, you're looking to have 70 degrees room temperature. So this is, what I always recommend to everyone. Have it running 24/7, 365. Second, humidity. Try to keep your room, at a 30%, tops 35% humidity. Reason why, okay, so when we're talking about temperature, if for some reason your environment reaches, like 80 degrees, 90 degrees, then you will definitely gonna bump into serious problems talking about the ink. As you all know, the ink cures under heat and pressure, of course, right? In this case, if your room is like way too hot, then you will definitely gonna bump into ink coagulation. That will affect pretty much your whole line, your ink bottles. If you have a plus, you will definitely gonna get your circulation pump damage or clog. Then that is gonna lead you to a damper cloggage, and finally head cloggage. So and also we don't need to forget about the pump. You will also get your pump damage. So it is very important for you guys to keep your environment at 70 degrees. Do not allow it to go any higher than that. Now humidity, when we're talking about humidity, you're going to be pretty much bumping onto the printing issues. And what are we going to be facing? Pretty much it's going to be banding. Since if the humidity is too high, the ink is not going to be able to settle the way it's supposed to in the garment, giving you the end result of banding. That's the first thing that you're going to be able to notice. Now, the next thing that I always, suggest to everyone, when we're talking about humidity, is your components, your boards. As you know, the boards are run through electricity. They have resistors, they have, different type of equipment, fuses and all that. Electricity heats up, it makes, and the humidity, it's high, then it makes the cables to sweat. It pretty much, get them to sweat, and then that's when short comes up. So you're gonna end up blowing, like your R2400 board, sometimes your R24, your frigid board. You're probably gonna end up getting, some of these corrosion on your AV cables, and that's a huge problem. So keep this in mind always. Temperature 70 degrees, humidity 30, tops 35%. All right. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and jump onto the regular maintenance. So let's say you're down for the day, printing for 8 hours or 5 hours, whichever. The very first thing that you would like to do is, of course, prepare your area. Go ahead and remove the platen. You want to go ahead and lower the table all the way down. In this case, it's already down. Then what you want to do is press function up to move the carriage off the capping station. And these are the tools that you will definitely be needing for this. It's going to be mirror, swab, syringe, alcohol, and distilled water. So every time that you're using distilled water, avoid, setting your cups on top here, because, accidents do happen. You might work and, knock the cap up, and then you're gonna spill water and you're gonna be burning a lot of stuff on your printer. So try to set your water away, you know, like not on top of your printer. So if you choose to use a mirror, this is what you're gonna need it for. So go ahead and bring the camera over here, please. So I specifically, you know, ask for this printer so you can see what are we talking about here. So can you aim right there, the lens to the, you know, to the mirror? I'm really quite sure if you guys can see. Let me go ahead and bring some light here. Okay. So can you see right there? We can clearly notice, you know, our nozzle plate. And then on the left and right parts of this nozzle plate right here, you're gonna be able to see that we have a lot of accumulation of ink. This is normal to happen due to the printing process. So as you all know, the carriage moves left to right, you know, printing is spraying ink. So that ink ends up in these places right here and accumulates. And this is exactly what we wanna avoid. So we will need to clean this part. Also this piece of plastic right here, which is pretty much at the same level as the printing head. We will need to clean this part right here, this other bar here, and this other rectangular box. Always avoid at all costs touching the mirror plate. We do not want to touch this mirror plate with nothing, not even with the sponge, not even with the microfiber cloth or anything, okay? So always stay away from this mirror plate. This is where your nozzles are. So right here, you cannot see them, but in case that you happen to have an old print head, you can always grab it, you know, like try to, you know, like put it against the light and you're gonna be able to see 8 lines. Those lines, you know, those are pretty much the holes, the nozzles where the ink gets sprayed off. So again, never touch this mirror plate. All right, next thing that you wanna use, it's a microfiber cloth. You can notice that one side of the microfiber cloth is very plush. The other one, it's like slimmer. So this is the side that you want to use. First thing that you want to do, wrap your finger. And this is, you know, like the way that I recommend to every, you know, customer that I help, you know, how to clean this part. So you want to wrap your finger like that, pretty tight. Make sure that you have no fibers or anything, that it doesn't belong to the microfiber. And then you're going to grab your alcohol. Want to dab your fingerprint, your fingertip. Now, using the mirror, it's maybe a little bit difficult at the beginning. You will get used to. Another thing that you can do, this is your cell phone. You can always grab your cell phone, turn your camera around, sit it underneath there, so you can see what's going on. So you can see where you're going to be touching. So very carefully, you're going to bring your finger. If you want to go ahead and step over here, so you can take a shot from this end, from this angle. So what you want to do is very carefully place your finger right there. You also kind of want to, you know, bring your head down to make sure that you're not touching the mirror plate. You're going to hold the carriage, and now you're going to scrub rear to front a lot. Again, when you're doing this, be very careful and do not touch the mirror plate. See all the stuff? It's like super dry. That's exactly what you do not want on your undercarriage. Since you're already there, go ahead and clean this part here. Can you see my finger? Well, not my finger, right? But the cloth. Change spots.
Creator's life.
Yes.
Creator's life.
Go back. Seal this. This is exactly what you do not want on your undercarriage. This is pretty much a death for your print head. Go back underneath. Carefully. Take your time. Don't rush, especially at the beginning. Once you get the hang of it, you're going to be able to do this a little faster and safe. There you go. go ahead and take a really good close look right there, Jesse. See how that nice and clean is? This is, pretty much how you want to leave it. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on to this other side. We're gonna clean this one. Make sure that your finger, it's nicely wrapped. So the only part that you're scrubbing is that metal. Now, right there, you might be thinking, hey, what about Morgan just told us not to touch the mirror plate? And on that angle that you're watching, I mean, it seems like I'm touching the mirror plate, but if you were able to, come on this, like from this angle, like at eye level, you will be able to see that I'm not really touching it. I'm just, like applying pressure to that metal part. You're gonna be able to notice it when you're doing this at home or at your shop. You'll be able to see that you're truly not touching the mirror plate. There you go. See the difference? Now from there, we're gonna move on to this part. This one is like really nice and clean, but over time, you will get lots of gunk right there accumulated, and definitely you wanna get rid of it. The reason you wanna get rid of this, actually the reason you wanna go ahead and clean this part is that if you don't clean it, ink will accumulate here. It will become very thick, so thick that it will end up touching your garment. This thing, the carriage is going to be moving left to right, printing, and as soon as this gunk that is built up here touches your garment, it's going to be built up from here, and if it's moving that way, guess what? All that gunk is going to roll. It's going to end up underneath your mirror plate, clogging all your nozzles, and game over. Be ready to spend $1,300 on a brand new print head. So there you go. This is how you want to go ahead and leave this area at the end of your day. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the wipe blade and capping station. For that, what you're going to be needing is super nozzle cleaner, 2 swabs, syringe, and your distilled water. Now remember, you're working with water or in a cup. Do not place it on top of your printer because accidents do happen. You don't want to spill anything on top of your printer. So let's set this water over here. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and clean that guy. So as you can see right there, this printer was what capped it. I'm gonna go ahead and flush that by using the plunger. Then I like to use the super nozzle cleaner because this is a super strong formula that it helps me breaking through, break through the dry ink super easy and fast. You don't really have to soak it big time, just a little bit. There you go, sound like this. And then you're gonna go ahead and start working on your wipe blade. So you want to go ahead and scrub this side. See how it looks? All that whitish thing, that's pretty much ink. And that's exactly what we're going to need to remove. So we go ahead and scrub it. When you're doing this, make sure that you apply some pressure, but not crazy pressure, because you might end up damaging the wipe blade. So just scrub firmly, but don't rock it too much. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and take a look on this other side. Let me go ahead and dry this side so you can see how it looks. Yes. Oh, okay, let's see. Whether you use alcohol rather than the super cleaner at this point. Use because for some other reason. Okay, the reason I like to use alcohol to clean the undercarriage, it's because alcohol, it helps me to clean that build up like faster than the super cleaner. You can always use super cleaner, but it's gonna be, It's gonna take you a little bit longer to clean all that gunk that you might have in the undercarriage. And yes, it is cost effective because I mean alcohol is way cheaper than this bottle, super cheaper. I think it's like $1.99 or $2.69 versus almost $60 for this little bottle. So that's pretty much why. Oh, and another thing, that's a good question. I mean, this is the only area where you want to use alcohol when you're cleaning these parts. You never want to use alcohol on the wipe blade or on the capping station. Why? Because the alcohol will pretty much ride this rubber, and then this is gonna, you know, like break in pieces, and you're gonna end up needing another pump. So never use alcohol on the wipe blade or capping station. All right, any other question? Let's see, that question was about cleaning the undercarriage. That is correct. Here, right? Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and continue. So let's go ahead and take a look on this other side. Are you able to see? All that build up. Okay, so we're gonna get rid of that. Go ahead and scrub it. Nice. Might want to push the carriage away. Then you're gonna grab the same swab, and now you're gonna go ahead and wipe the edge of the wipe blade. That. You're gonna go ahead and grab your dry swab. You're gonna dry this side to inspect and make sure that there is no more dry ink. See that part right there? Just a tiny bit. You can always, you know, scratch it off using your fingernail. Avoid pulling the wipe blade, because if you manage to pull this wipe blade off, then it's gonna be kind of hard for you to put it back in there. All right, so there you go. So this part right here is ready to go. Now the other side. Let's go ahead and dry it. We have a little bit more dry ink stick to that side, so let's go ahead and scrub it again. Once again, be gentle. Scrub firmly, but be gentle with that wipe blade. Go ahead and dry it again. Let's take a look. There you go. We're good to go. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and dry that edge. You gotta make sure that there's absolutely no dry ink on this edge. So, can you take a really close up on that, Jesse? See how this rubber, like this wipe is nice and smooth? This is exactly how you want to leave it. All right, next step. You're gonna grab the same swab that you used to scrub the wipe blade, dip it in super nozzle cleaner again, just a tiny bit. There you go. And now you're gonna go ahead and tuck it between the filter and this rubber wall. So tuck it in there, and same thing. I'll go ahead and scrub it firmly, but don't abuse the capping station. Now you're gonna move on to this other side. All four sides actually. Then from here, you're gonna jump to the other chamber. Once you're done with that, then you want to do the external part of this capping station. Scrub it really nice. Originally, you want to go ahead and scrub this part and make sure that there is no dry ink. It's because it's a pretty soft rubber that it's pretty much a seal that it vacuums, like against the print head, and it creates a suction to prime the lines and also to wet cap the nozzles. That's why you do not want no dry ink. Otherwise, this rubber, it will become harder and it's not going to be wet. It's not going to be sealing properly. You're probably going to be losing pressure when you're priming the lines, and you're going to have an air leak when you're wet capping the print head, which is going to lead you to a clogged print head. But by the way, when you're doing this and you're cleaning this side, be extremely careful, because as you can see, there's a tiny spring right here that if you bring the swab too low and catch on that spring and pull it, and it comes off, and then you end up losing this spring, then this capping station is not going to be properly leveled, which means it's going to be tilted, and you're not going to be able to get a nice wet cap, and you're not going to be able to prime the lines, leading you onto a damaged pump, leading you onto a clogged print head. And we do not want to experience that. Now, as you can see right here, I was able to pull a hair of dry ink. So that is exactly what we need to get rid of. That's exactly what we don't want on our capping station. And then the last step, it's scrub that edge, because this is mainly what it seals against the nozzle plate. So you can see I'm scrubbing all these areas, all these edges and sides. I'm scrubbing them nice and firm, but I'm not abusing the capping station, meaning that I'm not rocking it too much. If you apply too much pressure, you see that it dips in. You might get stuck underneath, and if you don't notice, boom, you're not going to be able to wet cap. You're going to end up with the clogged print hit, so be careful. All right, let's go ahead and grab the other swab. Let's dry the external part. Top edge. There we go. This light is too weak. There you go. Right there, what we can see is just dust bubbles for the cleaner, but no dry ink in the certain areas except right here. There you go. All right. See all this? That's exactly what we want to get rid of. Nice and smooth. And now this is when you want to use your syringe. You're going to grab your syringe and you're going to go ahead and pull the still water. What I always like to do is I like to grab my towel, fill my syringe, and bring it like this. Because in case it drips, it won't land on my controls or my boards. All right, so like that. Make sure that your waste bottle, it's empty. And now we're gonna go ahead and do power down. We're gonna press on the control panel, power down, like if we're gonna prime the lines. Then we're gonna squirt water to flush these filters. There we go. We're gonna go ahead and press power to stop. Always grab your towel. Protect your printer from drips. Now we're gonna come back here on the wet cap cleaning system. I'm gonna pop the clip, and then we're gonna go ahead and pump super cleaner using the chalk pump. There we go. See how the water is kind of clear? I'm gonna press power down, flush it. Jesse, can you do a really good close up to this area right here? So you can see right there on the capping station, there's like a little hair of dry ink. So a tool that I always carry with me is this needle, like super fine needle. And if you happen to see, I also suggest you to get something like this because it will be, very useful and handy, when it comes to maintenance. So what you want to do, you want to go ahead and reach and pull that. Right here, you do not want anything but super cleaner. So make sure you get rid of these little pieces of dry ink. Okay, so got that. We're gonna go ahead and unclip the line back here, pump with more super cleaner. Right there, I can see that we have some more pieces of dry ink right here. So we're gonna go ahead and pull them off. There we go. Go ahead and press power down. Now you might be wondering how come Morgan is pressing power down to flush that instead of using the plunger. Reason I'm doing that is because since we're applying, we're using the function of power down, we're flushing the capping station like that. The pump, it gets pretty much on automatic mode, meaning that the manual mode doesn't work. You plunge this 1,000 times and it will not gonna flush this capping station. The reason why is because of the power down function. So once you use that function, make sure you reset your pump. So what you want to do, you want to first empty the capping station, because remember your undercarriage is already clean, so you don't want to get it, you know, wet or anything like that. Then you're going to go ahead and press function to move the carriage on top of the capping station. Then you're going to go ahead and press function up again to move it up. And by doing this, what you're doing is you're resetting the pump. So let's go ahead and fill that capping station with super cleaner again. Close the clip, and now plunger works. All right. So let's say you're done for the day. You already cleaned all these parts. Fill your capping station with super cleaner. An extra step that I always like to do is this. After filling that capping station, notice that you have a bunch of bubbles right there. Well, that's, you know, those are air pockets. If you wet cap your printhead head like that with those air pockets floating on top of the solution, then guess what? Your nozzles are not going to be properly wet. You're going to have air between the cleaner and the nozzles, and you might end up with a faulty nozzle check, possible clogged nozzle. So I like to use my syringe, suck all those bubbles just like I did, and then open your clip again and pump a tiny bit of solution just like that. A little more bubbles. Let's get rid of them. And this is how you want to wet cap your $1,300 printhead. I have to do just press function. Make sure that your clips are closed. You're done for the day. All right. So this is the end of the day maintenance. Now, depending on your environment, let's say, you know, if you have windows at your shop, or if you're printing, you know, from home, whatever. If you have a lot of windows and there's a lot of dust, then what I will suggest you to do is, you know, do pretty much the monthly maintenance, turn it into a weekly maintenance, because if you have a lot of dust under your environment, then your encoder strip and your X belt, that will be, you know, pretty much, you know, like pretty dusty, and that will affect on the reading of the carriage moving, because behind this carriage you have a sensor reading the belt and reading the encoder strip. If there's a lot of dust or particles or ink, sometimes I have seen, you know, like drops of ink on this encoder strip, then it will affect the reading and it might error out. So again, depending on your environment, this is how you want to be doing. If you have too much dust, you might want to go ahead and do this, you know, weekly. If you don't have too much dust on your environment, then you can go ahead and keep it as a monthly. All right, so let's go ahead and press function up to move the carriage off the wet cap station. And the very first thing that you want to do, actually the tools that you're going to be needing for this maintenance, it's going to be 2 swaps, so this is a little hack that probably you guys know about it, and if you don't, then you're about to know. So what I like to do is I like to grab 2 swaps, and this is to clean the encoder strip. I like to grab some painter's tape. I'm going to put your swaps like this, flat. You want to tape them together. All right, cool. So this is your end result. This is very handy. I like to use this a lot to clean the encoder strip. So grab your swaps, and you're going to spray a little bit of alcohol, not too much. You're going to push your carriage off, and then very carefully, do not pull on the AV cables, just push them a little bit. You're going to pretty much trap that encoder strip like that. What I like to do is I like to twist it just a tiny bit to create some friction, and then wipe it down. So from the center to the right, like that. What I like to do, I like to use my flashlight and check the encoder strip to make sure that there's no ink or stuff attached to it or stick to it. Then I like to move my carriage this way. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do this other side. Trap it, twist it, and then from inside out. Twice. There we go. This is where we're wiping off this, the encoder strip. All right, so good to go. Next thing, it's brushing your X belt. You can use an old toothbrush. Doesn't have to be brand new. It's up to you. You don't really want to spray alcohol onto this because it will dry up your belt, and you don't want that because otherwise you're going to be later on you're going to be seeing that pieces are going to be coming off this belt. So just a dry toothbrush. And what you want to do is again lift your AV cables very carefully. Put your toothbrush between that belt, turn it, just go like this, go back, put it between the belt, turn it up this time, like this. So the brushes brush all those teeth. You're gonna be able to see right here on the belt. I'm gonna bring the carriage this way. You're gonna do the same thing, but to the other side. That. Do it twice. All right, so going back. So yeah, that's pretty much what you want to do. So insert it between the belt, pass it 2 times, back, turn it the opposite, brush it. Then what you're doing pretty much is brushing any lint or dust that it might be stuck to this belt thing. All right, that's the second step. Now the third step, it's cleaning this shaft. So for this shaft, as you can see, I mean, I've been using my like piece of cloth too much, so it's kind of dirty. So it's not gonna affect anything. I mean, it's just gonna be just wiping old grease. So this is what you want to do. You want to cut a piece of microfiber. You're gonna stick it from the bottom to top. You can use some needle nose pliers to pull it. Then do another wrap. There you go. Same thing. You're gonna start cleaning from the center to the sides. So go out like this. You're gonna pull it up and down. Always finishing on this end. And you're gonna move your carriage to the right side. You're gonna get your cloth in there. I'm gonna wrap your shaft. Again, you're gonna start from the center to the left. Finishing always at the end of the shaft. That's it. I'm gonna grab your Freehit grease, a new swab, and you're gonna apply just a tiny bit of grease, not too much. You're gonna place your carriage in the middle. You're gonna come right here. I'm just gonna go ahead and apply right here next to the slider. Go to the back. Be careful not to touch the X belt while you're applying the grease. There we go. That's pretty much it. Go ahead and grab a little bit more grease, and you're gonna do the same exact thing on the other side. There we go. You don't really have to go like this, like just apply right here next to the carriage slider. Because then, by just moving the carriage manually left to right, guess what? You're automatically going to be spreading that grease without the need of you, you know, rubbing this swab all along the shaft. All right, so I'm going to manually bring the carriage back to this position, then press function. Docks, and you're done. Right. I would like to talk about also, you know, like these bottles back here on the capping cleaning system. So I've noticed, you know, like some machines, you know, they have this bottle right here, you know, like super crushed and collapsed. And the reason that that happened is because this cup right here, the lid or cup or adapter is like super tight. You do not want to have this cap, you know, like super tight, because that's the reason that this bottle collapsed. So what you want to do to make sure that it's properly, you know, tightened, I always like to grab the bottle like this, and I like to use my index finger and my thumb to untie it and tie it back. If I'm able to untie this bottle, then it means that it's properly tightened, and it will not crash. So let's go ahead and fill this bottle with super cleaner. Again, I'm gonna get it there, grab it, and just tie it like this. Go ahead and bring it a little bit closer so you can, oh, my bad. It's pretty much. Now when you dock it on, right here on the docking station, avoid tightening it from the bottle. So I always just hold it, and then from this piece right here, the adapter is the one that you want to spin. Go ahead and spin it. You're gonna be able to see some bubbles. There we go. And as soon as this stops spinning, that's pretty much it. That's all. That's how tight it has to be. Do it like that, and the same rule applied to this one. So if this bottle, you grab it like this and you are unable to untie it just using these two fingers, it means like super tight. So just loose it, grab it, tight it. You should be able to do this. If you are able to do this, then this bottle is properly tightened, and it will never collapse. That's pretty much it. All right, now last part that we want to go ahead and maintain is the encoder wheel, which is on the other side of the printer. I'll go ahead and turn this around. So your encoder wheel, it's located on this side of the printer. So as you know, the controls are on the other side. This side is completely flat set. You're gonna have to remove this plate by pulling the pins. So we can expose the encoder wheel. And what you're gonna need is a new swab and alcohol again. Very closer. Okay, so this right here, this is your gear that it gets, you know, like gets in motion due to this other motor right here. Actually, from this motor and the spins. Your encoder your encoder wheel is this one right here, the clear disc behind this white gear. This is the one that we need to clean. And as you can see right here on the front, like it's nice and shiny. But if you notice, like right here on the very edge, it's like, you cannot see through. So those are the lines that the sensor reads, and these are the lines that need to be cleaned. So what I like to do, I like to grab my swab, spray a little bit of alcohol, not too much, and then very carefully, what I want to do is I want to press it against this metal plate. Press it and then slide it behind the disc. Let me go grab my flashlight. All right, so I like to press it against the plate, then I will slide it underneath that disc. Notice that I'm not releasing pressure because I don't want to bend this plate towards me or out. Otherwise, it will become, like bent, and when it starts spinning, it's gonna do this. And that's exactly what we don't want, because otherwise it's gonna be rubbing against the sensor, and then you will end up getting an error. So again, press it against the metal plate and then slide it underneath the disc, just like that. And then using your hand, you can just spin it like that, and then to the back. That's pretty much it. This one's nice and clean. And again, this is part of the monthly. The encoder strip is part of the monthly shaft and X-belt. But again, I repeat once again, you know, depending on your environment. If your environment it's too dusty, then go ahead and do this on a weekly basis. All right? So you're done with that, and just make sure that grab your plate or a cover. Make sure that your pins are pulled out. Pretty much done. And one thing that I also like to add to this chat is this. And it's the ink bottles. See my ink bottles right here? You'll notice that these caps have a tiny hole in the middle, right? So every time that you fill your bottles, don't forget before you pour, you know, the fresh ink, make sure you pull them out, swirl them, and swirl them, you know, for a good 20, 30 seconds. Reason why is because, you know, the white ink, it tends to settle. So the settlement is going to be, you know, sometimes if you don't swirl this for a long time, you're going to end up having, you know, a super thick settlement. So you don't want to have that in your bottle. So make sure you swirl them a lot. Don't shake them. Sometimes I've noticed that, you know, like they cover the hole and then they go like crazy up and down. Don't do that, because if you do that, you're going to create a bunch of bubbles that when you're priming the line, those bubbles are going to be sucked to your lines, and then they're going to give you, you know, like faulty prints. So the less bubbles you can create, the better. So that's why I'm saying, you know, just swirl it instead of shaking it. So you do that on all the whites. Once you're done, of course, remove your cup. You're gonna grab your liter of ink or whatever size you're buying. Make sure you swirl that, and swirl that even longer than these other ones, because that bottle has been sitting on our shelves and probably has arrived to your location, and you probably have that bottle on your shelf too. So you're gonna have, you know, like that settlement is gonna be way thicker. So you make sure that you swirl that a lot. All right, so I'm gonna remove this. You'll see all that dry up ink that we have in the inside part of this cup. You don't want that. Reason why is because if you leave it like that, you're gonna remove it, you're gonna put it back, and some of these dry pieces might end up landing inside of your ink. And then when you prime the lines, and when you start printing, those little pieces are gonna be sucked through your line, clogging your damper. So be very careful with this. A very good way to clean these ones, again, you can use alcohol, your toothbrush, and this is what you want to do. Oh, and also you're going to need a microfiber rock. Spray a little bit of alcohol in there. Grab your toothbrush. Brush it. Scrub it really nice. Make sure that you get rid of all that dry ink. There you go. Seal that. You definitely don't want on your lid, neither on your thread on the bottom. So once you're done with that, you can use your microfiber rag and then dry it. And you also want to make sure that that hole in the middle of the lid, it's free of ink. This is pretty much what, you know, it helps the ink to flow through your print head. So make sure your hole is never clogged with ink or covered with ink. So do this. There you go. This thing right here, what I also like to do, it's like to wipe it off so I can have a nice clean lid. All right, once you're done with your lid, by now you already, you know, have this bottle full of ink. Maybe not, maybe you want to clean this before you fill this bottle with ink. Or you can grab your microfiber again, spray some alcohol on it, not too much. And now we're gonna clean the thread around this bottle. So when you do that, make sure that the rug is not like super soaked, because you don't want to, you don't want to drip no alcohol into your ink. So we grab like this, and very carefully, you're gonna bring your finger in. Like that. Go ahead and switch sides. Apply a little bit more of alcohol. And do the same thing. And this is how you want to have your thread on your bottle. Go ahead and take a close up. Always try to keep your bottles like this, nice and clean. So none of that dry ink end up on your ink, clogging your dampers. So that's pretty much it. Do the same thing in all the bottles, on all the lids. After the video, I'm gonna go ahead and take care of this. But yeah, see this? You don't want that. All right. And if you are the type of person that like to have your printer, like super nice and spotless, I will suggest you to get some of these white erasers. Not really quite sure. You told me the name the other day. Do you remember the name of this one?
Magic eraser.
Magic eraser. So you can get these ones at Walmart or Ralph's, or maybe on the 99-cent store or Dollar Tree. And pretty much you can scrub the body of the printer with this eraser. So let's see, I want to find a spot. All right, check this out right here. See all this ink that is splashed right here on the back part? So just spray a little bit of alcohol into the eraser. And this will get your printer like super nicely clean, to be able to get rid of that ink that it's stick to the body of your printer. And you can use it all around your printer. All right. And well, that's pretty much it for today. Do you have any questions, guys? Questions, suggestions, donations? All right. Thanks, Trudian. Thanks for the video of this step-by-step checklist with this level of detail you can share. Well, the checklist is on my head, but I can type it off and send it over if you want. Definitely, yeah, we can go ahead and do that. Okay, I was driving, so I couldn't take notes. Is there a way to see a replay? Yes, we are going to be able to share the link for this video and email it to you. The YouTube, okay, so you can go to our YouTube channel and you're going to be able to click there. You're going to be able to see the whole video. All right, and what else? Do you clean the silver part at the top of the printer while it's open? Are you talking about this cover? If you're talking about this cover, yes, absolutely. If you want to go ahead and add that to your maintenance, you can feel free to do that, and you can use this the magic eraser with alcohol. Just spray a little bit. Remember, don't have it too soaked, and then you can just scrub it. Get your microfiber towel and dry it. You can do it. But when you're doing this, be careful not to pull on these ink lines, or be careful not to spray, like alcohol on top of these chips. All right, what else? You are pre-treated in the same room where you have the printer. I will strongly suggest you to, work something out to cover that pre-treatment area, so the pre-treatment mist won't, end up landing on your printer. Otherwise, you're gonna have a really sticky touch to the printer, and that's not that's not gonna be very, a very good thing because it might end up damaging some parts of the printer. So consider, like moving the pre-treatment area, to a different room or kind of cover it, so the less mist is floating around the room, the better. So let's see, with what? Within the pre-treatment. Okay, so the pre-treatment, we have a hyperflash liquid. Unfortunately, I don't have it with me, but if you go to our website and you go into cleaners, you're gonna scroll down, you're gonna be able to find the cleaner. So one is hyperflash. I believe that one, it's for the nozzle, and there's the other one that you're gonna be able to use that one to clean the pre-treatment around the pre-treatment machine, or if you have pre-treatment, like on top of your print, you're gonna be able to use that. All right, well, thank you very much, guys, for joining us. I will definitely gonna go ahead and work on a checklist, and I will hand it to Mauricio so we can post it on YouTube. Go ahead and give me a few days, like I was saying, so I can get that done for you. All right. Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you next week, next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Have a great day and happy printing.